It ain't no crazy shit. It's just, at the end of the day, business is business.
Rest in peace to that lady, man. I hate that lady. It's just funny. I can't lie, it's just funny to me.
Kodak Black's story? Yeah, it didn't just get messy. It spiraled into straight chaos real fast. Right from the jump, people around him were switching sides, crossing lines, and dragging entire families into situations they never signed up for. And when you really look at it, this wasn't just random drama. It was a chain reaction that kept getting worse with every move. Growing up in Pompano Beach, Kodak wasn't easing into anything. He jumped straight into the streets early. We're talking breaking into homes while still young, getting caught up over a stolen car before he even finished middle school. And from there, it turned into a non-stop loop. Juvenile detention, back out, then right back in again like it was a cycle he couldn't escape. That environment didn't just shape him, it threw him directly into one of the most intense rivalries in Florida. While locked up, Yak met someone named Wiz, also known as the Wizard, and at that time it seemed like solid energy between them. People said Wiz had his back inside, and Kodak's name was already buzzing, so that connection looked important. But things took a dark turn later, the kind that shifts everything. Wiz ended up losing his life after someone close to him allegedly set him up, and that right there changed the tone completely. Before that even happened, though, the tension around Kodak was already building heavy. Wiz was tied to Zone 10 out of Hollywood, Florida, a crew with real presence in their area. And with that kind of influence comes attention and problems. People were already watching, already plotting, and it didn't take much for things to pop off. Then in 2016, everything escalated when rivals reportedly came into their area and targeted Wiz's younger brother, Jib. And here's the wild part. Rumors say Jib wasn't even heavily involved like that. But when you build enemies, it doesn't just stay on you, it spills over to everyone around you. Jib and his friend Bankhead were just outside, chilling, not expecting anything crazy, when suddenly things turned dangerous. Someone pulled up and opened fire, turning a regular moment into a nightmare. Bankhead survived and later told police what he knew, but Jib sadly didn't make it through that night, and that loss hit deep.
I hate lady, rest in peace to her soul. You heard? Rest in peace to that lady, man. I hate that lady. It's just funny. I can't lie, it's just funny to me. It's hilarious, to be honest.
After that, it wasn't just tension anymore, it was escalation on a whole different level. Zone 10 was already active, but this pushed everything over the edge, turning existing problems into full-blown conflict. Kodak even addressed parts of the situation in his own way, saying, "Rest in peace to that lady, bro. I ain't that lady. It's just funny, I can't lie," and later doubling down with, "It's hilarious, to be honest," statements that had people confused, questioning what he really meant and why he sounded so detached. Now the spotlight shifted toward a neighborhood called Liberia, with alleged ties to a group known as HMT. And once Jib was gone, it didn't stop there. It sparked a back-and-forth conflict that kept building with no real end in sight. Liberia itself wasn't just one crew either. It was a mix of different sets like Daniel, Hot Boys, Grand Mafia, Go-Getters, Junior Mafia, and Family Forever. So when issues started, it wasn't just one group involved. It became multiple sides, multiple layers, and way more unpredictable. At the same time, another group from Dania, known as the Madamaires, linked up with Zone 10 and formed an alliance called Double M. And instead of calming things down, that move only added more pressure to an already explosive situation. With Liberia and the Madamaires being close geographically, tensions were already there, just waiting for the right moment to explode. And eventually, incidents started stacking up. At one point, two individuals, Psycho Bob and his friend Brat, were targeted, but managed to escape without getting hurt. Then in July 2017, things got even more reckless. Psycho Bob and Brat were outside when a car pulled up and shots were fired in their direction, but they ran and made it out safely. And instead of things cooling down, it went the complete opposite direction just days later. There was a big neighborhood gathering going on, and some members had been posting their location online. Psycho and Brat saw that, and instead of avoiding it, they pulled up ready for confrontation. Witnesses said they walked into the scene and started firing towards a house where rivals were believed to be. And here's where it gets even crazier. They did all of that in front of a packed block party. No masks, no cover, nothing. Just straight bold moves in daylight, making it easy for everyone, including law enforcement, to identify them. One voice even tried to downplay it, saying, "That's my man, ain't no crazy shit, man." And like I said, if it was that deep, would have fought. It ain't no crazy shit, it's just...
Man, it ain't no crazy shit, man. Like I said, if it was that deep, would have fought. It ain't no crazy shit. It's just, at the end of the day, business is business.
At the end of the day, business is business. But the situation was clearly way deeper than that. They didn't hit anyone, but after emptying their clips, they jumped back into the car and took off. Still, it didn't matter. It was already too obvious. Police tracked them down quickly and arrested both of them. Psycho ended up with a lighter sentence and only spent a few years locked up, but that moment became a turning point for him, because while he was inside, something unexpected happened. Kodak Black was locked up in the same facility, and that's where their paths crossed. Yak saw something in him and told him straight up he was planning to sign him once they got out. For someone like Psycho, who was known more for reckless behavior than music, that looked like a real chance to switch paths and level up. For a second, it looked like things were finally lining up, like maybe this was the exit from all the chaos, but reality hit different. By 2020, Psycho was out, but Kodak was still behind bars. The music wasn't moving, the support system wasn't there, and without that structure, Psycho drifted right back into the same environment he was trying to leave behind. Meanwhile, tensions in Liberia kept heating up, getting more unpredictable by the day. And then in September 2020, another situation unfolded, involving Jan Navis Lewis, a man who wasn't officially part of HMT, but had close ties with members. And that right there put him in a dangerous position without even realizing it. Because in situations like this, just being connected can be enough to get you caught in the middle of something you never asked for.
Things didn't slow down after that. If anything, they got even more ruthless and way more personal. Word on the streets in Liberia was that someone had been riding through MT's area hunting for a specific target, but instead, they crossed paths with Jan Navis while he was just walking home. And in a moment that hit everybody hard, he was attacked right there in the street and didn't make it. Situations like this, they happen way too often. People who aren't even fully involved end up paying the price just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what came next really showed how deep things had gone, because this wasn't stopping anytime soon. HMT was looking for retaliation after Jan Navis's death, but here's where it got wild. Nobody even knew for sure who was responsible. So instead of hitting the right person, things allegedly took a shocking turn towards someone completely different. Reports say they went after someone close to Psycho Bob, his own mother, and that's when the situation crossed a line that had people looking at everything differently. On October 15th, 2020, she was just sitting on her porch minding her business when a car pulled up and shots rang out in her direction. She was injured but thankfully survived, making it out of a moment that could have gone way worse. And it didn't end there, not even close. Just days later, another loss hit close. Psycho Bob's friend Taco also lost his life, adding even more weight to everything going on. And instead of staying quiet, the situation started spilling into music, turning pain into lyrics that people couldn't ignore. Lines like "Taco had died when Mama had cried," "Told Gab hard to focus," got hit with that, "Left his right there," gave his different doses. "I'm the man of my city, I'm the landlord too. They say streets done him 'cause I don't mess with you." Had people replaying tracks and trying to piece everything together. It wasn't just music anymore, it felt like real-life events were being broadcast line by line. At that point, things were already intense in Broward County, but outside of that area, not everyone was fully tapped in yet. That changed fast in 2021 when Kodak Black came home and stepped right back into the spotlight. Yak wasn't even supposed to be out that soon, but after receiving a pardon, everything flipped. Suddenly, he was back outside, signing artists, building his sniper gang label, and bringing a whole new level of attention to everything connected to the situation. He started putting people on, Psycho Bob, Wiz the Wizard, and Wham, and that move shifted everything. Kodak wasn't originally part of the issues between Double M and HMT, but once he started making music with them, he got pulled straight into the middle of it. And when they hit the booth together, that's when things started getting loud. Tracks dropped with direct shots, and people picked up on it instantly. On one record, Psycho came in heavy, saying "Snipers on my side, who ain't telling, nightmare in my blood, they know I'm already ready. I eat faces, fight cases, blowing little bread, dropping bodies on the daily, letting everybody know how serious he was taking it. Then he turned it up even more, throwing lines toward Liberia like 6 dead homie, I get done with that. Stick that go Opa, I was lurking in the hoopty, pointing out in your city, they know Lil Psycho. And yeah, people were talking everywhere after that. At the same time, Psycho, Wham, and Wiz were all gaining traction in music thanks to Kodak backing them. But outside the studio, the tension wasn't cooling off at all, it was building. Then March 2021 came, and things took another heartbreaking turn. Reports linked ongoing street issues involving HMT Trey to a situation where his mother, Misty, lost her life while opening her nail salon in broad daylight. That moment shook a lot of people because it showed just how far things had escalated. Some sources tried to connect the situation to Wiz the Wizard, but nothing was fully confirmed. Rumors said James Hardwick might have been involved as the driver, but not the one who actually carried things out. And even now, nobody has clearly confirmed who set it all up. After that, attention shifted heavy towards Psycho Bob, with people speculating he might be connected somehow, even without solid proof. And not long after, another incident hit. Psycho was driving when suddenly 2 vehicles boxed him in, trapping him with nowhere to go. Someone jumped out and opened fire, turning the whole situation into chaos in seconds. He was seriously injured, left bleeding in the street, but emergency responders got there in time and saved his life. And here's the crazy part. Despite how public that whole situation was, nobody was officially charged, which only made things feel even more tense and unresolved. After that, tensions between different sides kept rising, and rumors started adding even more layers to the story. There were claims about personal issues involving Psycho Bob and someone connected to Liberia Sig, and that just added more fuel to everything. Psycho didn't stay quiet either. He dropped a diss track called Stepdaddy and went straight in with lines like, "That's your mama, yeah, I smashed it. I done beat her son, that's your stepdaddy, I'm gonna call your mama." And yeah, that stirred reactions instantly. Then Trey and Sig fired back, pulling Kodak even deeper into it with their own track, FTO. Lines like "Chop, knock 'em out" made it clear this wasn't just behind-the-scenes tension anymore. It had fully crossed into the music world for everybody to see. At this point, it wasn't just a local situation, it was public, it was loud, and it was only getting more intense by the day. By this point, the energy wasn't just tense, it was straight pressure building from every angle, and everybody knew something bigger was coming. Tracks were dropping with lines like, "They know we spinning, so they're moving cautious, riding protected, talking slick like they can make somebody vanish." And that wasn't just rap talk, that was matching what was actually going on outside. This wasn't entertainment anymore, it was reflection. Not long after Psycho Bob survived that earlier situation and made it out of the hospital, he almost got caught again. Reports say rivals spotted him slipping into beach and tried to line him up a second time, but somehow he managed to escape again without getting hit. That right there showed how locked in and dangerous everything had become. Nobody was safe, not even for a moment. But the pressure didn't slow down, it kept stacking, and then Double M took a major loss that had people talking heavy. Rumors started flying that someone close to Wiz the Wizard might have set him up, and that shook everything. Wiz wasn't just anybody, he was a known name, someone with real presence, someone rivals couldn't easily get close to. Going back around 2015, authorities even linked him to leading a group involved in break-ins across the city, which only added to his reputation after his brother Jib's death. At one point, rumors claimed Wiz tried to retaliate and went after someone named Denzel Williams. Reports say Wiz fired but missed, and Williams managed to escape. After that, Williams went straight to the police and identified Wiz, leading to serious charges. Williams was expected to testify, but before that could even happen, he lost his life after being approached by someone. And just like that, the case against Wiz collapsed and got dropped. That sequence had people raising eyebrows, wondering how things played out like that. After that, Wiz started gaining traction in music alongside Kodak Black, and it looked like he was leveling up. But behind the scenes, the tension never left. It just stayed quiet for a second, before coming right back louder. Then things got weird between Wiz and Kodak themselves. Reports said Yak only gave Wiz $30K when signing him to Sniper Gang, and that sparked some back and forth online. They were throwing shots at each other on Instagram, and fans started picking sides real quick. Wiz later tried to downplay it, saying it wasn't real beef and calling it just business, but let's be real, the tension was visible and people felt it. Before they could even smooth things over, everything flipped. Someone allegedly set Wiz up, and it ended in a tragic way that nobody saw coming.
In September 2021, Wiz's body was found outside a home in Hollandale Beach, leaving people confused and searching for answers. And what made it even stranger, there were no shell casings at the scene. That led investigators to believe the situation happened somewhere else, and his body was moved afterwards. Authorities later charged someone named E-Ray in connection to what happened, and there were suspicions that Liberia Sig helped move the body. But even with those developments, people still couldn't understand how someone like Wiz got caught off guard like that. Because Wiz wasn't known for moving reckless. He was calculated, alert, always thinking ahead. So when this happened, the streets started whispering one thing: inside job. One name that kept popping up was CJ, a guy connected to both sides. He had ties to Trey, but was also around Wiz even after everything that had already gone down between their groups. And that's where things started looking real suspicious. How do you stay cool with both sides in a situation like that? People started questioning his loyalty heavy. Rumors claim CJ might have been paid by Trey and others to set Wiz up. And if that's true, that's a crazy level of betrayal, playing both sides while secretly working against one. But what made it even wilder was what allegedly happened afterwards. Reports said CJ was bragging online following Wiz's death. He posted a picture showing stacks of cash ranged to spell King Cobra, and people instantly started reading into it. The timing, the message, the energy, it all felt like he was hinting at something deeper. That post alone had the internet talking heavy, making everything feel even more intense and personal. Then in March 2023, everything took another dark turn. CJ himself lost his life. He had his own separate issues going on, and while nothing was officially confirmed tying it directly to what happened with Wiz, people couldn't ignore the way it went down. It felt personal. Authorities found CJ inside his car after the attack, and the situation was disturbing enough to shock even people used to hearing about these kinds of incidents. Reports said the vehicle was set on fire afterwards, which only added to how serious everything looked. Details started spreading, and the whole thing pulled even more attention onto this ongoing situation that just wouldn't die down. After the news broke, Wiz's associate Wham spoke out online saying people played with Wiz and ended up set on fire. That statement alone sent waves through social media and had people reacting from all sides. And according to rumors, Wiz wasn't the only one affected. Another affiliate named Blood also lost his life, with claims that CJ might have played a role by setting things up through someone he knew. Wiz's passing was already a huge loss, but what really had people stuck was everything that came after it. The way things unfolded, the people involved, the connections. It left more questions than answers. And one of the biggest question marks, how everything tied back to people who were once close to him, including Kodak himself. That's what really had fans watching closely, trying to figure out what was real and what was being hidden.
Before everything fully fell apart, there were already cracks forming between Kodak and Wiz, and people didn't really clock how serious it could get at first. That's why it hit different when Kodak dropped "back for everything" and said, "Yeah, M Gang, but I ain't talking Rick Ross. Double M Gang. I took that from Wiz, rest in peace, but it's your fault the way you let him get you." That line had people pausing like, wait, what? It sounded direct, almost like Yak was calling him out even after he was gone, and fans reacted instantly. Then he doubled down in another part, throwing what felt like subtle shots toward Wham too, saying things like, "You saying the same, you acting different." And now it wasn't just tension, it was personal, and everybody could feel it. But then Yak switched the tone later on "I Wish," showing a whole different energy. He admitted, "I hate I fell out with Wiz. You did what you did, so I did what I did." And that right there sounded like regret creeping in, like things went too far and couldn't be undone. After Wiz passed, the investigation took time to come together, which meant people like Trey were still out moving freely. And during that window, things didn't stay quiet at all. At one point, Trey and Psycho Bob ran into each other at a mall, and it turned into a loud argument right there in public. Witnesses said Psycho was mocking Trey, even bringing up painful family situations, which made everything way more heated than it already was. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it did. In November 2021, another family loss hit the situation hard. Trey's father lost his life while sitting in his car. Rumors spread fast about who might have been behind it, but nothing was officially confirmed, leaving everything in a cloud of speculation. That moment changed everything for Trey. People said after losing his father, he started applying serious pressure, moving differently, and escalating things even more. Then more reports started coming out, claiming that Liberia Sig and Trey were tied to an incident where Rosa Bordeaux and Derek Thomas both lost their lives on the same day. Situations like that kept stacking, and nobody was stepping back. It felt like everyone was pushing forward at the same time. By 2023, things were completely out of control. Hatch and Liberia Sig were reportedly connected to another situation involving Double M, where a member named Marlowe lost his life. And at this point, it was clear this wasn't slowing down at all. After Trey's father passed in late 2021, the activity picked up almost immediately. Just weeks later, reports claimed Trey and Liberia Sig targeted Psycho Bob's home, but nobody inside got hurt. Still, that move sent a message loud and clear. Then, about a month after that, another name got added to the list. Marquis Florence lost his life, and investigators pointed toward Trey as someone involved in setting it up. The situation kept expanding, pulling more people into it. Through all of this, Psycho Bob stayed active online, constantly calling out rivals. And that's what made it even crazier. He had already been targeted multiple times, on the road, at home, everywhere, and he still kept speaking publicly. That's also when he dropped Stepdaddy, and the track instantly stirred reactions. On it, he referenced personal situations again, even mentioning Hatch's father with lines like, "I be geekin', I be rollin', he was about 50, got hit up with them," and those lines had people reacting heavy. Even as his music started gaining more attention and numbers, the real-life situation behind it wasn't slowing down. It was getting louder, more intense, and harder to ignore. 2023 turned into straight chaos in Broward County, and things escalated fast. Reports said that on April 9, 2023, a man named Mark Varies from Liberia was connected to the loss of a Double M member known as SAS. And just a month later, his name came up again in another situation where Terry McKenzie and Arenado Donna both lost their lives on the same day. Back-to-back incidents like that had everybody watching closely. By July 2023, the tension kept rising, with reports linking Hatch and Liberia Sig to another situation involving Psycho Bob's associate, Marlowe. And at that time, Psycho couldn't even respond, because he was already locked up. Police had pulled him over back in 2022 for speeding, and during the search, they found over 20 grams of marijuana along with a firearm. Psycho later pled guilty and got sentenced to 5 years, taking him completely out of the streets during a critical moment. And that's when things took an even darker turn, because with Psycho gone, the focus shifted in a way nobody wanted to see. Instead of going after him directly, reports say his family became targets again. His mother, Dorothy, had already survived one situation before, but this time was different. On September 13, 2023, authorities alleged that Trey, Liberia Sig, and others went to her home while she was sitting inside a van. Shots were reported towards the vehicle, and she sadly lost her life right there at the scene, leaving the entire community shaken. After that, social media exploded with reactions, people going live, speaking out, trying to process what just happened. And just like that, the situation went from intense to something way deeper, way heavier, and impossible to ignore. By the time everything started catching up, it was clear this wasn't just random chaos. This had been building for a long time behind the scenes. Investigators believed plans targeting Dorothy were in motion way before anything actually happened, with names like Trey and someone called Rico being mentioned early on. Reports say conversations about her were already happening as far back as February 2022, meaning this wasn't sudden, it was calculated and delayed. And the craziest part? She wasn't even living near the areas where all the tension was active. She likely thought she was far removed from everything. But once her address was found online, everything shifted fast and turned into something tragic. Even after that, things didn't slow down at all. They kept stacking. In December 2023, reports claimed Liberia Sig, Mark Varies, and another associate were involved in a situation targeting someone named Messiah Sumter. They believed he was inside a building and opened fire, but he wasn't even there. Instead, someone else got hurt and survived, adding even more layers to the chaos. At that point, authorities were already describing Liberia Sig as one of the most active figures tied to everything going on. And by January 2024, things escalated even further. He was allegedly connected to the passing of Terrence Farrington Jr., with reports also linking Varys to that same situation. And just 1 week later, Varys was again tied to another fatal incident involving Johnny Henderson. Back-to-back situations like that had everybody watching closely. Then there was yet another attempt involving Messiah Sumter, but again things didn't go as planned. A vehicle believed to be his was targeted, but instead an uninvolved young woman was injured, shocking people who were following everything closely. For a while, it felt non-stop, like there was no break in the chaos. But eventually, investigators started closing in, and one specific case changed everything. The situation involving Terrence Farrington Jr. became a major turning point. Authorities say they recovered a vehicle tied to the incident, and from there, fingerprints helped connect the dots and push the investigation forward in a serious way. Then everything hit at once. A massive indictment dropped. Liberia Sig, Iran, and several others were charged, with authorities alleging involvement in multiple incidents and attempted situations. One name that stood out was Gerard Charles, also known as Hot Rod. Investigators claimed he was tied not only to what happened to Dorothy, but also to the situation involving Terrence Farrington Jr. and other events. When he was arrested in March 2024, officers reportedly found evidence on his phone that pushed the case even further. And that's when things took another turn, because according to authorities, this wasn't just personal anymore. Money was involved. Investigators said they uncovered messages pointing to alleged paid setups, with connections leading towards a group known as LKB. And that right there added a whole new layer. This wasn't just loyalty or revenge, there were claims of transactions behind it. Now here's where it gets even more complicated. LKB itself had its own issues with another group called Snap AF, and reports claimed Snap AF couldn't handle the pressure alone, so they allegedly reached out to Liberia for help targeting LKB affiliates. One situation that stood out involved someone known as Color Money Red, who was seriously injured in an incident tied to that conflict. And according to investigators, around $20K may have been exchanged to make it happen, showing just how deep things had gone. At this point, Liberia Sig, Trey, and others were facing serious charges with life-changing consequences ahead. And while many were taken into custody in 2024, the impact didn't just stop there. Even with key people gone or locked up, the energy didn't fully disappear. People were still going back and forth online, throwing shots, keeping everything alive in the public eye. Kodak Black found himself in a complicated spot too. On one side, he was pushing his music and trying to keep his label moving, but on the other, he kept losing people close to him. Wiz gone, Psycho locked up, others facing charges. It was all stacking up at once. Fans started noticing the change in him. His music began sounding heavier, more emotional, reflecting everything he was dealing with behind the scenes. It wasn't just success anymore. It felt like pressure, loss, and reality all hitting at once. Meanwhile, law enforcement wasn't done either. Investigations were still open, and authorities were watching closely to prevent anything else from escalating. The streets might have gotten quieter, but not because things were solved. It's because so many key people were no longer out there. And even now, people still debate how everything escalated so fast and went so far. Wham ended up being one of the last ones still active, keeping Double M alive in the music scene while talking about building his own label. But even with those moves, he never fully stepped away from the streets, and that kept him in risky situations.